Hey everybody, welcome to your Primal HIIT 7 yoga tutorial. I'm going to get into the flow right away, and then I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit further because it is a short flow in the actual class, and I want you to be able to do the full flow and nothing but the flow. Starting with your feet wide. Make sure your feet are wide enough that when your knees drop, that they're on the instep or the sole of the foot. So you're going to start just by going back and forth. Internal and external rotation of the hips. So make sure, again, that the distance is wide enough that the knee naturally falls to the instep of the foot, which is going to be important for later on. Then we are going to drop the knees, and you're going to rotate over your thigh. Keep spine tall, shoulders relaxed. Very little weight in the back hand. We're going to do this a total of 3 times. And on the third one, we are going to hold it. When you go to rotate, I want you to realize you're rotating from your waist, your torso, your shoulders, and then finally your neck. If you focus on that sequence, you're going to get a lot better depth, and you're going to also maintain your technique. One more, this time we'll hold it. Another key point on this 90-90 Shin Box flow, is what we're going to call it, is I have very little weight in the back hand. This is going to encourage me to lift the spine up a little bit taller. And again, the waist, chest, shoulders, neck, and then finally the gaze. You can hold the third time around a little bit longer if you're doing a yoga type flow. I'll typically hold anywhere from 3 to 5 breaths. For time purposes, we're just going to hold it for 2. Very little weight in the back hand. Spine is nice and tall, pulling the belly towards the spine, rotating from the waist. The shoulders, the neck, and finally the gaze. Adding on to this, you are going to drop your knees again, and this time we're going to reach. So you're going to reach with your arm at the same angle your knee is pointing. So imagine your knee were like an arrow. You're going to reach the arm and the hand in that same line, reach far, and option to just place the forearm down or drop all the way. And this is the way I typically do my flows, is where I'm going to go in and out of the range of motion from the starting position to the ending position as a warm-up, and then on the third go round, that's when I'll typically hold it. Key point on this one, and where you should be feeling it. So 1, you know your knees are going to drop. 2, when you go to reach that arrow, you're reaching at that same angle, you're going to feel a stretch in the back and the hip. The hip that is being compressed, you're going to feel a little bit of release, and then the back. Last one, we'll hold for about 2 breaths. Again, reaching long, so think of lengthening your spine up and over, as if you're sending your head away from the foot. You can drop your forehead, hang out here for a moment, come back up. And for this flow, this Shin Box flow, again, in the class, it's very short, so I'm just elaborating on it a little bit here. We're going to work from the bottom, and then we're going to work the top, and then we're going to put it together. The last one you're going to do for your seated section is you're going to drop the knees. Arm is going to reach up, and I'm going to thread the arm underneath. The key point on this is my palm is going to face down, and I'm going to lean away from my hand. So palm down, lean away from the hand is number 1. Legs don't change. So reaching up, I'll get a little bit of a stretch here, and I'm going to drop and thread the arm underneath, palm facing away and down, and then I lean the head back. We'll do it 2 more times. Another key point on this one is that my hand, as I go to rotate, I'll turn it out slightly, and I'm actually pushing so that I get a little more leverage. So as I go to thread, I push with the hand that's grounded. That way, you'll go a little bit further. So what that looks like is up on this side. I'm going to over-exaggerate. I'm actually pushing. So if you see, watch my hips. You see how my hips go back? I'm doing that as my arm threads through. And last little key point is that the arm that tracks underneath you when you thread, keep it close to the thigh. So I'm not reaching towards my back hand, I'm actually reaching towards, close to my hip. Leaning away, Last time, I didn't hold that long, but you get the picture. This is a good one to hold though, so if I were going to vote on any one to hold, it would be this one. So that's the bottom section of the flow. We'll do one more, just so you have the totality of the class flow in mind. We're going to press the hips up, so legs don't change. Right hand, or your hand that's behind you, is anchored into the floor. You're going to press the hips directly up. The hip opposite to the hand is the one you're going to feel the stretch on, so you're going to open that up. You can keep your hand in the guard position like you're holding a shield. Later on, I'll give you some more variations to that. The same thing on the other side. You'll drop, you're going to press up, and then lower down. A couple of options of where you can look. So, my hand is down, I can look at the hand, which is nice. Pressing up, and then notice that the hip is fully extended, and then drop down. Or, you can stay looking forward as well, just over the shoulder. Focusing on two shoulders being on one line. Last one, we'll hold for up to breath. Another key point that you want to remember is that my bottom hand, I actually want you to rotate out. So imagine rotating your bicep outward, rotating your shoulder externally. So you'll come up, pressing and rotating. And you're going to be doing this in the crab reach as well. So it's always good to get your rotation on because it creates more stability and you have a little bit more of muscular tension to work off of. Coming through. All right, now the top section. We're going to start with the crab and then go into the vertical tripod, waterfall, and the beach ball. Sounds funner than it actually is. Your hands are going to be either turned out or 90 degrees. I like them turned out for the crab setup. Your feet are wide, hips halfway between the heels of the feet and the heels of the hands. Elbow to center line. You're going to bump your hip into your elbow, keeping that eye on your fingers, and then you're going to follow your fingers back. As you do, you're going to frame the top of the head. For this one, we're going to do two, and we'll hold the second one. So feet wide, hand bottom turned out, just like we did before in the hip extension. So you're going to reach back, we'll hold this one, rotating the bottom bicep out, hips pressed up, arm framing the top of the head, looking back at the fingers, we'll drop down. Hips go low. Turn this way so you can see the other side. So now we're going to the other side. Hand is behind you, fingers turned out. Elbow center line. You're going to bump the hip, looking at the fingers. Notice the torso will naturally rotate so that when you're at the top of this position, your two shoulders are in one line. And then as you come back, your torso will start to unrotate. That's not a word, but that's fine. Hips are fully extending. Squeeze your glutes at the top, driving with the glutes. Feet planted. I like to push with the center of my foot. Rotating, hips fully extended. The hand that's on the bottom, again, you're going to rotate out, and that's going to coincide with the extension of that hip, opening up the side of the body, two shoulders in one line. Drop it down. Now we're going to go into the vertical tripod, waterfall, beach ball. Easy way to remember it. Again, you can have your fingers turn 90 or turn out. Same setup, feet wide, elbow to center line. The difference is this time you're going to extend straight up, creating two shoulders in one line as if you're stabbing the ceiling with your hands, and then just waterfall the arm back. So I'm just diving straight back. There was a pool of champagne behind me, and then, and caviar, and then beach ball. So I'm reaching. Notice my arm is wide, like a first position in ballet. Coming back through, and then drop it down. Or ballroom. Like if you ever do paso doble, that's a position you hit as well. We'll do that one more time. So, again, center line, go straight up to the ceiling, fully extending the hips, squeezing the glutes, two shoulders, one line. Keep that angle, just drop the arm back, relax the neck. Think of the pinky sending energy down towards the floor. Then draw, like you have a piece of chalk, a big semicircle, so that when you end up at the side position, you don't want to be here. You want to be reaching out. And then come back, just follow the hand, and then drop it down. And we're about to put it all together, so I know you're pumped. Hand behind you, elbow, center line. Press into a vertical tripod. Two shoulders in one line. Much like dancer's pose in yoga. Reaching back, relax, and then again, chalk, big semicircle. My hips are still because your waist is what's rotating. Your waist is incredibly mobile. So your hips can be anchored and your waist can rotate like this. And the more mobility you have in your waist, really good for the thoracic spine. Last time, vertical, but I don't have to sell you on that, do I? Reaching back, waterfall, and then the beach ball. Having that space, that distance, bottom arm is rotating out, and then just follow the fingers of the hand, come back down. We're gonna put all of this together, and I'll start so you can see the beginning of it. I'll actually turn this way so you have a better angle. But we'll start from the very top. We'll go to the bottom part, one time through, and then the top part, and then I'll kind of flow it. One breath, one movement. There is one movement in there that I forgot to cover, but we'll cover it at the end. Feet wide, drop knees. We'll start with the rotation. So this is just for the external and internal hips. And then we're going to add on to this. And remember, you dropped, and now we just rotate, spine tall, very little weight in the back hand, other side. And then we're going to reach, same angle as the knee, and then I'll drop forehead, as if I'm sending the back of my head away from the foot. So reaching and I'm lengthening. And then we're going to thread. So now we drop the knees, push with the grounded hand and thread the arm, keep it close to the thigh, lean away from the hand, back up. And that one, all of this you can do, you can hold each of these for 2 to 3 breaths, but right now I'm just showing it to you so you can get your move on, and you have an idea of what you can do at the end of the class. Then, we're going to press the hips up, looking at the back of the hand, 2 shoulders in one line, rotating the bottom bicep out, rotating the shoulder, and as if you're trying to turn the floor this way. And for this hand, it would be counterclockwise. Now we're going to put all that together from the top, from the crab reach, vertical, arm, waterfall, and the beach ball. So I'll turn this way so you can see, and you'll see how this kind of builds upon one another. So your setup is going to be feet wide, elbow to center line. We're going for the crab reach first, looking at the hand, come up. Follow the fingers as you frame the top of the head, full extension of the hip. Follow the fingers as you come back down. This time we're just going to let the hips hover, soft bend in the rear elbow. Drive straight up, vertical tripod. Waterfall back, relax neck, hips fully extended. Draw the chalk beach ball, and then relax knees and hips, and then thread the arm through. So that's the transition to the floor. And then let's just add that little hip press up. And then we'll do the other side. So I'll switch this way so you can see it, and then we're going to flow it, but I won't switch. I'm just going to go from one to the next. And again, so we're starting from the crab, elbow to center line. Look at the hand, the finger. Notice framing the face, 2 shoulders in one line, hip fully extended. You're going to feel it more in the hip that's grounded with the hand. Come back through, drop, hips hover, soft bend in the back knee. Vertical, 2 shoulders in one line. Torso will rotate. Arm, neck relaxes, draw a semicircle. Here's the key, just relax your knees in the direction that your hand is reaching, and you'll just fold like origami. Thread, hand underneath, lean away. You can keep that hand there or readjust slightly to make sure that it's easy for you to lift your hips. Like so. Now I'm just going to flow it like one breath, one movement. We'll do it twice through so you have the entirety of it. The beginning section, when you're dropping your knees right, left, we're going to skip. You can put that in there, but if you're already warmed up, then I would say just go into the whole flow and nothing but the flow. All right, so Shin Box 90-90 flow, starting with the crab reach. I'll do it facing this way. Do it facing this way so you have a little bit of a better angle. Elbow to center line, bump hip, frame face, arm fully extended, rotate bicep out, drop hip, hover. Vertical tripod, reach back, waterfall, beach ball, fold like origami, thread, arm close to the hip, lean away from the hand, adjust the rear hand if you need to, looking at the back, still 2 shoulders in one line, fully extending the hip, drop down, switch to the other side, unfold, legs don't change, elbow, center line, come through, frame, top of the head, look at the fingers, hips hover, vertical, waterfall, beach ball, drop. Notice I pivot the back hand, thread. Come back, press up, looking at the back hand. Come through. Last time, this time a little bit quicker, not frantic, smoother, if you will. So, crab, hover, reach, beach, thread, drop, right one out, press the hip. Yoga's so good, the right side go out. Come back to center, crab, frame top of the head, elbow, center, vertical, waterfall, beach ball, drop, thread, look back, press hips up, fully extend, and we'll finish with a little figure 4, which this is at the end of the class. So let's talk about it. The easiest way to get into it if you got tight hips is just extend the opposite leg a little bit more further than the leg that you're going to put on top of the thigh. Then you can scoot it in. I flex the foot that is on the hip that is stretching. So flex the foot. You can lift up and then just sink the hip down a little bit. Soften in the elbows. The tendency sometimes will be for the shoulders to go by the ears, but obviously you can tell by my voice that cuts off your airway, so just try to maintain that length. And then you can switch it out just by unfolding the leg. If you're extra flexy, you can just start there, lift up the hips, plant the ankle on the thigh, then drop the hips. This is something you want to do all the time. Especially if you're doing like a lot of squats and lunges, this is a good one to do. Some people can drop their hips all the way to the floor. Ooh, then you'll definitely feel it on the outside of the hip. Come back through. And there you have it. That is your Shin Box yoga flow for the Primal HIIT number 7. Check this out. You can give it a go. If at the end of the class you want to make it a little bit longer, follow this pattern, or keep the one that you're doing in the class and you can use this whenever you want. Thank you so much, and see you next time.